Days passed after the ugly incident where Ekema and Ujunwa beat Olama for walking with a stranger. Olama kept to herself as usual. She walked quietly, kept her head low, and tried to avoid trouble. But inside her heart, she could not forget Ozona. She tried to push the memory away, yet it returned again and again. The way he spoke to her gently, the way he carried her firewood, the way he looked at her with respect. Every time she remembered his face, her heart felt warm. She never thought she would see him again. But she was wrong. Ozona came back. It happened early one afternoon when the sun was high and the ground felt warm under bare feet. Ekema and Ujunwa were inside the compound, talking loudly and laughing, while Olama was outside washing clothes in the backyard. Cheta was at the farm, and the day felt unusually calm. Then someone knocked on the wooden gate. Knock, knock. Ekema hissed loudly. Who is disturbing me? Can't these villagers let me rest for one day? She stood and marched toward the gate. Who is it? There was silence for a moment before a calm male voice answered. Good afternoon, ma. I am looking for someone. Ekema opened the gate with an annoyed expression, but the moment she saw Ozona standing there, she frowned even deeper. She recognized him immediately from the other day, the tall young man who had walked with Olama. You again? What are you doing here? She snapped. Ozona bowed his head politely. Good afternoon, ma. Please, I came to speak with. I did not ask what you want. Why are you here? Did someone send you? No, he said patiently. I came on my own. Well, go back to wherever you came from. We do not want strangers disturbing us. Ozona remained calm. Please, ma, I only want to speak to... Ekema raised her voice. Leave! Leave this place right now and do not come back. The loud tone made Olama stop washing. Her heart jumped in fear. She knew the voice. She knew something was wrong. She moved closer quietly, peeping from behind the wall. Ozona remained respectful. Ma, I mean no harm. I just want to speak to... Before he could finish, Ekema pointed at him angrily. That girl you were walking with the other day is not available for nonsense. Do you hear me? She is not the type you can follow around. Go and look for someone else. Olama gasped softly. A sting went through her chest. She wanted to run out and defend him, but she knew doing that would only bring more beating. Ozona frowned slightly. I did not come here for nonsense, ma. I came with respect. Respect? Ekema laughed mockingly. If you had respect, you would not come here at all. Get out. He stood still, trying to remain patient. Please, ma, I want to thank her. She helped me. And I said leave. Or do you want me to pour hot water on you? Finally, Ozona understood she would not listen. He bowed his head politely and stepped back. I will leave, but I will come again. Don't you dare! Ekema shouted as she slammed the gate behind him. Olama stepped back quickly before her mother could see her. Her heart beat fast. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. She felt ashamed, hurt, and confused. Why did he come? Did he not understand her mother would punish her? Did he really come to see her? The thought made her heart flutter and tremble at the same time. When Ekema returned to the main compound, she shouted loudly so Olama could hear. If I ever see that stupid man near this house again, I will deal with you. Do you hear me, Olama? I will teach you a lesson you will never forget. Yes, Mama, Olama replied softly, lowering her head. Ujunwa laughed and clapped her hands as if watching a show. Serves you right? Look at you, attracting useless men. Maybe you think you are beautiful. Maybe you think someone will marry you. You must be dreaming. Olama looked down. She did not answer. She continued washing clothes, though her hands shook with sadness. Later that day, Cheta returned from the farm. He noticed the tense atmosphere immediately. What happened? He asked. Ujunwa rolled her eyes. Your stupid friend came here. Cheta frowned. What friend? The man she was flirting with, Ujunwa replied. He came to look for her again. Cheta's eyes widened. He looked at Olama quickly. She looked down, avoiding his eyes. Then he turned to Ekema. What did he want? What else? Ekema hissed. He came to disturb my peace. I chased him away. Cheta clenched his jaw. He knew his mother always twisted stories. He knew she hated Olama, so he left the compound quietly and looked around the village road. He walked slowly, hoping he might see the stranger. Not far from the house, he spotted Ozona resting under a palm tree, preparing to leave. Cheta walked up to him. Good afternoon, he said politely. Ozona looked surprised but smiled. Good afternoon. You must be her brother. Cheta nodded. Yes, I am. I am sorry for what my mother said. She is difficult. Ozona shook his head. It is all right. I understand she is protecting her daughter. Cheta sighed. She is not protecting her. She is just being cruel. My sister suffers a lot. Ozona's expression softened. Yes, I noticed. She looked afraid the last time I saw her. Yes, Cheta said quietly. She lives in fear every day. Ozona nodded slowly, sadness filling his eyes. I'm glad I found you. Maybe you can help me understand something. Cheta sat beside him. Tell me. Ozona took a deep breath. I came back today because I can't stop thinking about your sister. I do not know why, but from the moment she helped me, I felt something strong in my heart. She showed me kindness. She did not act like other women. She did not ask for anything. She just helped me and ran away. Cheta smiled slightly. That is how she is. She is gentle. She is good. I know. And that is why I came to see her. I want to see her again. I want to talk to her without fear. I want to know her better. And if she agrees, I want to marry her. Cheta froze. You want to marry her? He asked softly. Yes, Ozona said firmly. I have thought about it many times. I want her to be my wife. I want to take her away from suffering. I want her to live in peace, to be loved, to be respected. I want to give her a better life than the one she has now. Cheta swallowed hard. Tears gathered in his eyes, though he blinked them away quickly. You are serious? He asked. Yes, Ozona said. I am very serious. Cheta looked at the ground. Then he looked back at Ozona. I believe you, he said. And if you truly mean everything you just said, then please, marry her. Take her away from this place. Give her peace. She has suffered enough. Ozona nodded. I promise I will treat her well. Cheta sighed. My mother will not support you. She hates her. My sister Ujunwa also hates her. They will insult you, chase you, and try to block everything. Ozona smiled gently. I don't care about insults. If my heart has chosen her, then no one can stop me. Cheta smiled for the first time that day. Thank you. I will help you. I will talk to her. But first, let me ask you something. Yes, Ozona replied. What if she does not like you back? He chuckled softly. Then, I will accept it. But I truly hope she feels something for me too. Cheta nodded. I will find out. The two shook hands. After that, Ozona left quietly, promising to return another day. When Cheta arrived home, the sun was already setting. Olama was in the kitchen pounding yam. She looked tired, sad, and withdrawn, as usual. Cheta sat beside her. I saw him, he said gently. Olama froze. Her hand stopped mid-air, holding the pestle. Saw who? She whispered, though she already knew the answer. The man from the forest, Cheta said. His name is Ozona. Her heart jumped. She lowered the pestle slowly into the mortar. Why did he come? What did he say? Cheta smiled softly. He came because he likes you. Olama's eyes widened. Likes me? Why? Because you are a good person. Because you saved him. Because you treated him with kindness. She looked down, her cheeks warming. I did nothing special. That is what makes it special, Cheta said, and that is why he came to see you. Olama gently wiped her forehead. What did he say to you? Cheta took a deep breath. He said he wants to marry you. The pestle slipped from her hand and fell into the mortar with a loud sound. Marry me? She whispered in disbelief. Me? Are you sure? Cheta nodded. Yes, he said he wants to give you peace, to take you away from this house, to love you. Olama's eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, but from shock and something she could not name. But Mama will never approve, she said. I know, Cheta replied, but he does not care. He said he will still try. Olama covered her mouth with her hands. This cannot be real. Cheta leaned forward and asked softly, Tell me the truth, my sister. Do you like him, even a little? There was a long silence. Olama looked away, then back at Cheta. Her cheeks were pink and her eyes were shining softly. Yes, she whispered. I like him. Cheta smiled warmly. Then allow him to try. Allow him to fight for you. You deserve happiness too. Olama took a deep breath and wiped a tear from her cheek. Thank you, Cheta. No, he said gently. Thank him. He sees what others refuse to see. That night, after finishing her chores, Olama lay on her mat once again, but this time her heart did not feel heavy. It felt light, almost floating. She remembered Ozona's face, his smile, his voice, his strength, his kindness, the way he carried her firewood without complaint, the way he looked at her like she mattered. And now he wanted to marry her. She placed her hand on her chest, feeling her heart beat faster and faster. For the first time in her life, hope was stronger than fear. She smiled softly in the darkness. I like him too, she whispered to herself. Days passed quietly after Cheta told Olama about Ozona's feelings. Olama went about her daily work with a strange mixture of fear and hope inside her. She did not know what would happen next, and she dared not drink too much. Life in the house continued as usual, harsh, cold, and tiring. But something inside her had changed. Every morning when she woke up, she found herself wondering, will he come today? Every evening before she slept, she whispered to herself, maybe he will return. And he did. One bright morning while the sun was rising slowly over the rooftops, someone knocked firmly on the compound gate. Knock, knock, knock. Ekema, who had been sitting on a wooden stool braiding Ujunwa's hair, frowned deeply. Who is disturbing me this early? People in this village have no respect. Let me check, Mama, said Ujunwa, standing and adjusting her fine wrapper. But before she reached the gate, the knocking came again, louder this time. Knock, knock. Ekema hissed. Open it before the person breaks my gate. When Ujunwa opened the gate, her eyes widened in surprise and irritation. Standing there was Ozona, but he was not alone. Two elderly men dressed in simple but neat traditional clothing stood beside him. They looked serious and respectful. One held a walking stick, the other carried a calabash covered with a piece of cloth, clearly a sign of a formal visit. Ujunwa's mouth dropped open. She turned and shouted, Mama, it is that man again, and he came with old people. Ekema jumped to her feet at once. She stormed toward the gate, ready to unleash her anger. But when she saw the elders, she stopped for a moment. She was shocked, confused, and curious. Ozona bowed his head politely. Good morning, Ma. The older men also greeted. Good morning, woman of the house. Ekema forced a tight smile. Good morning. What brings you with elders? I hope there is no problem. Ozona stepped forward. We came for something important. Please allow us to enter and speak. Ekema hesitated. She did not want trouble with elders, so she stepped aside, forcing a smile. Come in, she said coldly. You may sit. The three visitors walked into the compound. Unjuna watched them closely with suspicious eyes. Inside, the elders sat down on wooden stools. Ozona remained standing respectfully. Ekema folded her arms. Now speak. Why are you here? The older man with the walking stick cleared his throat. We have come to ask for something honorable. Your daughter showed kindness to this young man. She helped him when he was injured in the forest. Ekema raised an eyebrow. And so? Ozona stepped forward. I have thought about her every day since she helped me. I cannot forget her kindness. I want to marry her. I want her to be my wife. Silence. A long silence. Then slowly, a smirk formed on Ekema's lips. She looked at Ozona from head to toe and burst out laughing. You, she asked mockingly, you want to marry Olama? Ozona nodded. Yes, ma. Ekema laughed louder. A poor hunter wants to marry her? A man with nothing but a bag of traps and dirty clothes? The elders did not respond. They simply watched her quietly. Unjunwa folded her arms. Mama, can you imagine? A hunter, not even a rich one. Ekema headed her head dramatically. This is funny. Very funny. Then she turned sharply to Ozona. Tell me something, young man. Are you sure you know who you are asking for? Ozona nodded. Yes, I want her. She is not beautiful. Ekema lied. She is not trained. She is slow. She is useless. Why would you want her? Ozona's voice remained gentle. Beauty is not only in the face. It is in the heart. And her heart is pure. Olama, who had been quietly sweeping behind the house, froze. She heard every word. Her hands trembled and tears filled her eyes. She had never heard someone speak kindly about her in front of her mother. Ekema laughed again. Ha ha! So, you want to marry her because she gave you herbs? You are not serious. The elder with the calabash spoke now. We are serious. We came with respect. If the girl agrees, we want to take her as a wife into our family. Again, a long silence. Then Ekema shrugged her shoulders. Well, if you want to carry her away, go ahead. She has been a burden here anyway. The elders exchanged glances. They were surprised she accepted so quickly. Ozona frowned. Ma, I expected questions. I expected you to ask if I would treat her well. Why did you agree so easily? Ekema laughed sharply. Because I don't care about her. If you want to marry her, marry her. But just know this, she is not my real daughter. She is nothing to me. Everyone fell silent again. The elders looked confused. Ozona looked shocked but didn't speak. Unjuma was smirking. Cheta, who had just returned from fetching water, dropped his pot. Mama, why would you say such things? I said what I said, Ekema barked. One elder cleared his throat. Where is the girl? We need to hear from her own mouth. Cheta ran to the back quickly. Olama, come out. They want to speak with you. Olama stepped out slowly, wiping her tears and dust from her wrapper. Her heart was beating fast. She looked down, not daring to meet anyone's eyes. The elder smiled gently. Young woman, come closer. She stepped forward. The elder continued. This man says he wants you to be his wife. He came with us because marriage is a serious matter. We must ask you directly. Do you want to marry him? The world stopped. Every ear waited. Olama looked at Ozona. He smiled softly at her. She looked at Cheta. He nodded encouragingly. She looked at her mother and sister. Their faces were cruel and mocking. She knew that staying here meant a life of suffering. Going with Ozona meant a chance at peace. Her heart raced. Yes, she whispered, I want to marry him. Ozona breathed out in relief. A gentle smile spread across his face. The elder nodded. Good, then the marriage can go forward. Ekema waved her hand carelessly. Take her, I don't care. But Ozona did not respond to her insult. Instead, he reached into the small bag he carried and brought out a neatly folded wrapper, beautiful and colorful. He also brought out a set of beads, red and shining in the sun. He held them out to Olama. These are for you. Wear them on our traditional marriage day. Her hands trembled as she reached for them. "Thank you," she whispered. Before she could admire them closely, Ujunwa snatched the wrapper and beads from her suddenly. "What kind of gift is this? Cheap wrapper, cheap beads? Is this what you wear to a wedding? I have better wrappers." Ekema joined in. "This is what a poor hunter can afford. Shameful." Cheta rushed forward and snatched the wrapper back from Ujunwa. "Give it to her. It is her gift." Ujunwa hissed loudly. "Let her take it. She will look like a clown anyway." Olama hugged the wrapper tightly to her chest. She didn't care if the wrapper was cheap. To her, it was the first gift anyone had ever given her from the heart. Ozona smiled gently. "I hope you like it." "I do," she said softly. "I love it." The elders stood. "We will return with more people when it is time for the wedding." "Wait," Ozona said. "There is one more thing." Everyone turned to him. "I want the marriage to take place in the village square. I want everyone to witness it." Ikema raised both eyebrows. "Village square? Why?" Ozona smiled. "Because I want it." Ikema shrugged. She did not care where the wedding happened. She just wanted Olama out of her house quickly. "Fine," she said. "Let it be in the village square. The people will enjoy the show." The elders nodded. "Then it is settled." Ozona bowed respectfully. "Thank you for accepting." Ikema waved her hand. "Leave now. I have work to do." Cheta walked with the visitors to the gate. "Thank you," he whispered to Ozona, "for choosing her." Ozona placed a hand on Cheta's shoulder. "Thank you for supporting her." After they left, the compound changed instantly. Ikema turned to Olama and said coldly, "Do not think you are lucky. You are only leaving because we are tired of carrying your weight." Ujunwa laughed. "Yes, and you are marrying a poor hunter. No money, no class, no beauty. Enjoy your poverty." But Olama hugged her wrapper and beads close. For the first time in her life, their insults did not enter her heart deeply. For the first time, she felt hope. Preparations began the next day. Women in the village heard about the wedding and began gossiping. Some mocked, some were curious, some felt happy for her. The elders planned the ceremony, the men cleared the village square and prepared decorations. Ekema did nothing except complain. "Do not decorate so much," she shouted at the young girls helping. "She is not marrying a prince." Ujunwa added cruelly, "Make her hair simple. She does not deserve to look pretty." But in the middle of all that noise, Olama stood quietly, touching the wrapper Ozana had given her, imagining the day she would finally leave this house and never be treated like dirt again. Everything was ready. The marriage would take place publicly, right in the village square. And though she did not know it yet, this simple request would change her entire life. The morning of the wedding day arrived slowly, like a shy visitor. The sun rose gently, painting the sky with soft orange and pink. Birds began singing on the rooftops, and a cool breeze moved through the village. It was a peaceful morning, but inside Olama's heart, everything felt loud and fast. Her hands trembled, her breath came quickly. She was excited, afraid, and confused all at once. From the moment she woke up, maidens from the village began arriving at the house to help her dress. They brought oils, combs, beads, wrappers, and perfumes. They were laughing, singing, and talking excitedly. "Today is your day," one of the maidens said happily. "Yes, and you are marrying a wife before sunset." But Ekema stood nearby with a sore expression. She folded her arms and hissed loudly. "Do not waste all those things on her. She is not marrying a prince. Keep it simple, simple." The maidens exchanged confused glances, but they continued walking. They helped Olama sit on a low stool. Her heart beat faster as they gently untied her old cornrows. They rubbed coconut oil into her scalp and slowly began to weave her hair into a beautiful style. "She has thick hair," one of the girls said. "Yes, and she's beautiful." Ekema heard that and clicked her tongue loudly. "Beautiful? You girls lie too much. Stop praising her. She does not need such talk." Olama looked down embarrassed, but the girls ignored Ekema and continued walking. One girl applied light makeup on her face. Another polished her nails with oil. Another girl brought the wrapper Ozona had given her, the one Ujunwa mocked as cheap. When she unfolded it, she smiled. "This wrapper is lovely." Another added, "It matches her skin." But Ujunwa suddenly stepped closer and snatched the wrapper from the girl's hand. "Do not talk nonsense," she shouted. "That wrapper is cheap. My mother buys wrappers more expensive than this every month." Ekema nodded proudly. "Yes, do not waste your time admiring cheap gifts." Cheta, who had been standing quietly in the corner, stood forward and took the wrapper gently from Ujunwa. "It is her wrapper," he said firmly. "Give it back." Ujunwa hissed. "You are always defending her, foolish boy." But Cheta ignored her and handed the wrapper back to the maiden. "Please continue." As the maidens dressed Olama, she sat quietly, her heart filled with mixed emotions. When they finished her hair, they tied the wrapper around her waist, placed beads on her neck, and put soft powder on her arms. She looked simple but elegant, beautiful in a way she never believed she could be. One of the maidens stepped back and said, "You look lovely." Another nodded, "You will shine today." Olama blushed and lowered her eyes. "Thank you." Ekema scoffed loudly. "Do not fill her head with lies. She is not marrying a royalty. That hunter probably lives in a mud hut. Do not waste time. Finish quickly." But despite Ekema's harsh words, the maidens continued their work lovingly. After dressing her, they led her outside to sit under a small canopy. She waited there quietly. The wedding would take place in the village square, but they would go together once everything was ready. Villagers walked past whispering excitedly, "Today is the wedding. Yes, the girl who found a man from another village. I heard he's a hunter. I heard he's poor, but he looks strong. But why the village square? It is strange." Everyone was talking. Everyone was curious. Soon the maidens signaled it was time to move. They helped Olama walk to the village square. Her legs trembled with every step. Cheta walked beside her, holding her arm gently. "You look beautiful," he whispered. "Do not be afraid." "I am afraid," she said softly. "I know, but everything will be okay." When they arrived at the village square, the place was already decorated with palm leaves, flowers, and colorful cloths. Wooden benches had been arranged for the villagers. Drummers were sitting on one side warming their drums. Children ran around playing. Women whispered and smiled. Men stood tall, waiting for the ceremony to begin. Everything looked ready. Except Ozona had not arrived. Minutes passed, then more minutes, then even more. Whispers began to spread through the crowd. Where is the groom? Why is he late? Has he run away? Maybe he changed his mind. Ekema, who had been walking around proudly, came to stand right in front of Olama. She bent down and said loudly, "Maybe your poor husband-to-be has decided you are not worth marrying." Ujunwa laughed sharply. "Maybe he found a prettier girl. Today will be a shameful day for you." But Olama remained silent. Her heart began to beat painfully. What if they were right? What if he wasn't coming? What if he changed his mind? The drums stopped. The talking stopped. The entire square became still. Suddenly, in the distance, the sound of horses echoed. Children screamed in surprise. Adults stood up. Heads turned toward the road leading into the village. Then everyone saw them. Royal carriages. Not one carriage, not two, but 3 large, shining, beautifully decorated carriages pulled by strong horses. Villagers gasped loudly. The drummers dropped their drums. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. The royal flags of Ebenabo blew proudly above the carriages. Women whispered, shaking, "Royal carriages? Why are they coming here? Is the king visiting us?
Men moved back in fear. Stand aside. Give space. Everyone rushed to create a path. The first carriage stopped in the center of the square. The door opened slowly. A tall man stepped out, dressed in fine clothes, wearing a crown of gold. His face was strong and noble. It was King Agumba. Then a beautiful woman stepped out. Her dress sparkled in the sunlight and her headpiece shone like diamonds. It was Queen Ifedi. The crowd gasped again. The king, the queen of a Benabo kingdom, what are they doing here? Why are they at this wedding? But the shock did not end there. From the second carriage stepped Ozona. Not in simple hunter's clothing, not in old animal skin, but in royal garments. His robe was made of the finest cloth. His necklace was gold. His forehead carried a symbol of royalty. Everyone stared. Ujunwa's mouth fell open. Ekema's jaw dropped. Olama's heart froze. She stared at him, unable to blink. It was like she was seeing a different person. Ozona, the man she found trapped in the forest, was not just a hunter. He was a prince. The prince of a Benabo kingdom. Whispers spread everywhere like fire. A prince? He's a prince? Olama is marrying a royalty? Impossible. Unbelievable. Ekema stumbled backward, her legs shaking. No, this cannot be true. Ujunwa held her head. Mama, he is a prince, a real prince. Even the maidens were confused and shocked. Ozona walked straight to Olama. When he reached her, he smiled warmly. Olama, I am sorry for coming late, but I could not come alone today. I needed to come with my parents. Olama's mouth trembled. You are a prince? He nodded gently. Yes, but in the forest I was only a man you helped. Today I came as the man you will marry.
Tears filled her eyes, not of sadness, but of shock, wonder, and disbelief. King Agumba and Queen Ifedi stepped forward. The queen held Olama's hand. Thank you for saving our son, she said softly. You showed kindness when you had nothing to gain. That kind heart will forever be honored. The villagers were silent. No one breathed. Then the king spoke loudly, his voice deep and strong. From today, you shall be respected. You saved the heir to the throne, and today you will marry him, not as a poor girl, but as the woman chosen by the prince. Ujunwa suddenly rushed toward Ozona. My prince, thank you for coming. Forget about her. Marry me instead. I'm more beautiful. Ozona frowned and stepped back. I am not here for you. Do not embarrass yourself. Ujunwa froze, humiliated. Ekema ran forward too, bowing repeatedly. My prince, forgive us. We did not know. We welcome you. Ozona looked her coldly. You insulted me when I came as a simple man. You rejected me because you thought I had nothing. Now that you see royalty, you want to be humble. Ekema trembled. I did not mean to. Ozona raised a hand. Enough. Guards. 4 royal guards stepped forward quickly. Ozona pointed at Ekema and Ujua. Keep them away from me and from Olama. They will not disturb this ceremony. They will not insult her again today. Yes, my prince, the guard said. They stood between Olama and her mother and sister, stopping them from coming near. Ekema cried out in shock, but this is my daughter. Ozona stared her sharply. If you treated her like a daughter, you would not be standing behind guards today. The crowd murmured. Ujunwa cried out, Mama, this is your fault. Shut your mouth, Ekema snapped. But the guards pushed them farther back from the square. For the first time in her life, Olama watched her mother and sister be silenced, pushed aside, and forced to stay away from her. She did not feel joy in their humiliation. She felt relief. For one day, just one day, she would not be shouted at, insulted, beaten, or mocked. Cheta, who had been standing near the back of the crowd, ran forward happily. "Olama," he said, his eyes full of joy. "You will be a princess." But Ozona smiled and corrected him gently. "She already is." Olama covered her mouth with her hands as tears ran down her cheeks. Everything felt like a dream she could not understand. The drummers began to play loudly, filling the air with joyful music. Villagers clapped, women cheered, men nodded respectfully. Everyone celebrated the shock of the century. The poor girl, mistreated by her own family, was marrying a prince. Ozona took her hand gently. "Shall we begin?" he asked. She nodded, tears still flowing. And together, hand in hand, they walked toward the front of the decorated square. While behind them, Ekema and Ujunwa stood in shame, held back by guards, unable to interfere. The girl they once treated like a slave was about to become royalty. After the shocking entrance of King Agumba, Queen Ifedi, and Prince Ozona, the village square was full of excitement and whispers. People stared at Olama with surprise, admiration, and disbelief. And yet, despite the noise around her, her heart was beating so loudly she could hear it in her ears. The fact that she was sitting beside a prince, her groom, felt unreal. While everyone stared at her in amazement, a maiden from the Ebenabo palace stepped forward. She carried a beautiful wooden box decorated with shining stones. She bowed politely before Olama and spoke gently. "My princess-to-be, please come with me. The queen wishes you to be dressed properly in the way a true royal bride should look." Olama turned her head quickly. "Me?" The maiden smiled. "Yes, you." Olama looked at Ozona, unsure. He nodded gently. "Go with her," he said softly. "You deserve to look like the princess you truly are." Olama stood slowly, still unable to believe all that was happening. The maiden took her hand and led her behind a small cloth tent set up by the palace women. Inside, there was a soft mat, a mirror, and a box full of royal clothes and jewelry. The maiden opened the box carefully. Inside were wrappers from fine cloth, shining beads, bracelets, and a headpiece that looked like it was made with tiny stars. Olama stepped back. These are too much for me." The maiden shook her head gently. "No, they are not too much. They are meant for you. Today you are not just any bride. You are the bride of a prince. You must look like one." Olama swallowed hard. Her hand trembled. "But I have never worn anything like this," she whispered. "That is why we are here," the maiden replied kindly. "Let us help you." She removed the wrapper Olama wore and replaced it with a royal one, soft, smooth, and bright. It shone in the light as if the sun lived inside it. Then the maiden placed beads around her neck and wrist, each bead shining like polished stones. She brushed Olama's hair gently and added more beads into her hair, weaving them in a beautiful pattern. Other royal women arrived and helped. They rubbed scented oil on her arms and legs. They added soft powder to her cheeks. They placed a small golden piece on her forehead. When they were done, Olama looked in the mirror and gasped. It was her, but different. She looked like a princess in a story. She looked strong. She looked special. She looked loved. "Is this truly me?" she whispered. The maiden smiled and said, "Yes, this is who you have always been. Today the world will see it." A tear slipped from Olama's eye. "Thank you." Outside the tent, the villagers were still murmuring. Ekema and Ujunwa watched from behind the guards, their jealousy burning like fire. Ujunwa whispered angrily, "Mama, look at her. She's going to look like a princess today. This is not fair." Ekema hissed, "Be quiet. This is all her luck. It will not last forever." But both women were trembling with anger and shock. Then the royal drums began to beat again, slow, deep, and powerful. The crowd turned toward the road once more. Another group of royal guards marched into the village square. Behind them was another royal carriage. The villagers gasped loudly. "What is happening? Another kingdom? Another king? Another prince? This is not a normal wedding." The carriage stopped and the door opened. First came an elderly man wearing a long robe decorated with silver designs. He carried himself with quiet confidence and authority.
"It is King Oberiagu of Obodoma," someone whispered loudly. Next came a beautiful woman wearing a long flowing gown and a crown with shining stones. "That is Queen Neoma of Obodoma." Finally, behind them stepped a young man, tall, handsome, with a golden wristband. "It is Prince Osinachi, their son." The entire village gasped again. 2 royal families in one village square? Something big was happening. King Agumba and Queen Ifedi of Ebenabo immediately stepped forward to greet them. They exchanged warm bows and smiles. Ozona also bowed to the king and queen of Obodoma. Prince Osinachi shook hands with him politely. The villagers watched with wide eyes. They could hardly believe their small village was hosting 2 great royal families at the same time. Meanwhile, the maiden led Olama out of the tent. When she stepped out into the sunlight, the whole village gasped as if one wind had blown through them. Women covered their mouths with their hands. Men nodded in admiration. Children stared without blinking. Olama looked like a princess, every inch of her shining softly. Even Ekema and Ujunwa froze, their mouths hanging open. For the first time ever, they saw her beauty clearly, and it terrified them. Ozona's eyes lit up the moment he saw her. He walked toward her slowly, smiling proudly. "You look perfect," he said gently. "Thank you." The marriage ceremony began. Drummers beat their drums, dancers performed, villagers cheered. Everyone watched as Olama and Ozona stood side by side before the kings, queens, and the people. When it was time for the marriage blessings, Olama and Ozona knelt before King Agumba and Queen Ifedi. The king raised his hands and prayed for peace, unity, and love in their marriage. The queen touched Olama's head and said, "You will never lack love again. Your days of suffering are gone." Then they moved to the second royal family, King Oberiagu, Queen Neoma, and Prince Osinachi. As Olama and Ozona knelt before them, Queen Neoma stared at Olama carefully. Her eyes narrowed in surprise. She leaned forward slowly. "My child, please turn a little," she said gently. Olama obeyed. She placed her hand softly on Olama's upper back. Suddenly, her eyes widened. Her hand began to tremble. Tears filled her eyes instantly. King Oberiagu noticed her strange reaction. "My queen, what is it?" Queen Neoma shook hard. "And she has it. She has the mark." The entire square fell silent. "What mark?" the king asked. Queen Neoma swallowed hard and pointed to the faint birthmark on Olama's back, a unique shape like a small curved moon. "This birthmark, only royalty from Obodoma have it," she whispered. "Only children born into the royal family carry this mark." The king's eyes widened. He looked at Prince Osinachi, then back at Olama. The queen began to cry. "My king, this girl, she has the same mark as our son, exactly the same." The villagers were stunned.
What is happening? A birthmark? Royal birthmark? Does that mean... Queen Neoma touched Olama's face with shaking hands. "My child, who are your parents?" she asked softly. Olama froze. Her heart pounded. She looked at Ekema. The villagers looked too. Everyone could see fear in Ekema's eyes. She started shaking. Queen Neoma repeated the question. "Who are your parents?" Olama swallowed hard. "My parents are Obiora and Ekema." Ekema stepped back, her heart pounding like a drum. King Oberiagu asked firmly, "And is this woman truly your mother?" Before Olama could speak, Queen Neoma stood up sharply. "She cannot be. This girl is my daughter." Gasps spread across the square. Even Ozona looked shocked. Olama trembled. "Your daughter? How? I do not understand." Queen Neoma wiped her tears. "I had twins 23 years ago, a boy and a girl." Prince Osinachi stepped forward, staring at Olama in disbelief. "Twins?" he whispered. "I always wanted a twin sister." Queen Neoma nodded weakly. "But in our kingdom, 23 years ago, twins were seen as a curse. The king then, my husband, was forced by the elders to order that the baby girl be killed." Olama's breath caught. The villagers gasped. Cheta covered his mouth in shock. Queen Neoma cried harder. I could not watch my child die. I begged God to spare her. I asked him to take her far away. I prayed she would live. The king closed his eyes tightly. The guard told us the child died. We mourned her, but we never stopped thinking about her. Queen Neoma shook her head. He lied to protect us. He must have left her somewhere safe, maybe in another village. I prayed she survived. Then she pointed at Olama's birthmark. And now, here she is. The same mark, the same age, the same face as Osinachi when he was younger. She is my daughter. Princess, royal blood, lost twin, saved at birth. The word spread around the square like wildfire. Ekema trembled violently. She knew the truth was coming. She knew she could not hide anymore. King Oberiagu turned to her sharply. Woman, speak. Did you give birth to this girl? Ekema stuttered. Queen Neoma shouted in pain. Tell the truth. Ekema fell to her knees. Tears ran down her cheeks. No, I did not give birth to her, she confessed. I found her in the bush, wrapped in a cloth. I was going to the farm. I saw her lying on the ground. I took her home. The villagers cried out loudly. The truth was out. The king stared at her in disbelief. So she is not your child? No, Ekema whispered. She is not. Olama felt her legs shaking. Her breath became uneven. She whispered, so all this time, I was not your child? Ekema covered her face. I raised you, but you treated her like a slave, Cheta shouted angrily. You treated her like nothing. Mama, how could you? Ujunwa stepped backward, her face pale. Everything she believed about superiority collapsed instantly. Queen Neoma rushed to Olama and wrapped her arms around her tightly. My child, my baby girl, you survived. You lived. Thank God. I am sorry for everything you suffered because of us. The king closed his eyes tightly. This is a miracle. Prince Osinachi stepped forward and hugged Olama tightly. I have a twin sister. I finally have a twin. Tears flowed down Olama's face. She felt overwhelmed, confused, but strangely whole, like a missing part of her life had finally been returned. The villagers chanted, Princess, lost princess found, royal blood. Ozona stood proudly beside her. The queen of Ebanabu smiled. Now the world knows her worth. King Agumba nodded. This marriage is blessed. The revelation spread through the village like thunder. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was amazed. Everyone celebrated. But two people stood in shame. Ekema and Ujunwa. The girl they treated like death was royalty. The ceremony continued, but nothing was the same again. Olama was no longer the girl they mocked. She was the lost princess of Obodoma. She was the twin sister of Prince Osinachi. She was the daughter of Queen Neoma and King Oberiagu. She was royalty by blood and royalty by marriage. Her true identity was finally revealed. The village square was still filled with shocked whispers, happy shouts, and murmurs of disbelief. The moment Queen Neoma discovered the birthmark on Olama's back, everything changed. The truth spread through the crowd like a wave of fire, and everyone stood frozen, watching the royal mother cling to the daughter she thought she had lost forever. Queen Neoma cried openly as she held Olama tightly, rocking her gently like a baby. Tears fell from her eyes onto Olama's shoulder. My child, my own blood, my daughter, forgive me, she whispered again and again, her voice breaking with each word. Forgive me for not protecting you. Forgive me for letting you go. Forgive me for all the suffering you faced because of a tradition that almost destroyed my heart. Olama trembled in her arms. She had never been held with such love before, not by a mother, not by anyone. Her arms lifted slowly and wrapped around Queen Neoma's back. Her tears mixed with Queen Neoma's tears. I don't understand everything, she whispered softly, but I forgive you. You did not want to lose me. You tried to save me. I am alive because of you. The king stepped closer, tears shining in his eyes. My daughter, my lost child, you survived, you grew, and you became strong even in pain. You are brave, and
and you carry our royal mark proudly, even without knowing who you were." He placed his hand gently on her head, blessing her silently. Prince Osinachi stepped forward. His eyes were full of tears he tried hard to hide, but they rolled down his cheeks anyway. He knelt beside his sister and touched her hand gently. "I always felt like something was missing," he said in a soft, shaky voice. "Growing up, I kept asking why I felt a hole inside me, why I felt lonely, even with my parents close. Now I understand. My other half was out here suffering, not knowing us, not knowing me." He lifted her hand to his cheek. "My twin sister, I finally found you." Olama cried harder. She hugged Osinachi tightly, and he hugged her as if he had been waiting his whole life for that moment. The villagers watched with wide eyes and open mouths. Many had tears in their eyes. Some covered their chests in shock. Others shook their heads in disbelief, smiling softly. One villager whispered, "This is a miracle, a true miracle." Another said, "The girl who suffered for so long is a princess." Someone else whispered, "God has finally remembered her." Cheta stood a few steps away, smiling through his own tears. His heart was full, relief, pride and happiness all mixed together. He whispered to himself, "She deserves this. She truly deserves this." Behind the guards, Ekema sat on the ground weakly. Her face was pale, her heart beat too fast. Ujunwa sat beside her, shaking. Ujunwa whispered, "Mama, how did we not know she was a princess?" Ekema did not answer. "Mama," Ujunwa tapped her, "what if they punish us?" But no answer came. Ekema stared blankly at the ground, her heart squeezed by fear, regret and shame. She whispered to herself, "I have destroyed everything. I have treated a princess like a slave." Ujunwa placed a shaking hand over her mouth. "Mama, what will happen to us?" But no answer came. The celebration around Olama continued. Nobody paid attention to them anymore. Nobody clapped for them. Nobody cared about them. They had been forgotten, pushed aside, swallowed by their own shame. After many hours of dancing, singing and blessings, the ceremony finally came to its close. Ozona stood up and announced loudly, "It is time for us to return to Ebenabo Kingdom." The villagers cheered again, though many were sad to see Olama go. Queen Nelma approached Ozona. "Please take care of her," she said gently. Ozona nodded firmly. "I will protect her with my life." King Oberiagu hugged Olama. "You will always be part of us. Come home soon." Prince Osinachi hugged her again. "Do not forget your twin brother." She laughed through her tears. "I will not forget." Cheta came last. He held her hands tightly. "You deserve happiness," he whispered. "Go and live your life. Do not worry about me. I will visit." She hugged him again. "Thank you for everything." Then it was time. Ozona held her hand as they walked towards the royal carriage. The villagers watched with pride as she stepped into the carriage, not as a servant girl, not as someone without a place, but as a princess and a royal bride. The horses began to move slowly. Drums beat loudly. Women ululated joyfully. Men raised their arms. Children chased the carriage laughing. Olama looked out of the window as they left the village. The wind blew gently on her face. She saw the trees, the sky, the people waving and the dust rising behind the wheels. Then she looked forward, towards her new life. When they reached Ebenabo Kingdom, the gates opened wide. Royal guards lined up on both sides. Trumpets blew loudly. Flowers were thrown in the air. "Welcome, Princess Olama," people shouted. "Welcome home. Welcome to Ebenabo." The queen and king of Ebenabo led her inside the palace proudly. Palace maidens bowed and smiled at her. Royal servants clapped. Everyone welcomed her with joy.
And for the first time in her life, Olama walked into a home where she was wanted, welcomed, respected, and loved. She was no longer the girl who suffered in silence. She was no longer the girl with torn clothes and empty stomach. She was no longer the girl insulted and beaten. She was Princess Olama of Obodoma. She was Princess Olama of Ebenabo by marriage. She was royalty twice over. She was finally home, and her new life had just begun. Days turned into weeks after the great wedding and the shocking revelation of Olama's true identity. The news spread far and wide, traveling from village to village like a strong wind. People talked about it at markets, in farms, beside rivers, and under trees. Everyone repeated the same unbelievable story. The girl mistreated for years is a princess. The lost daughter of Queen Neoma has returned. The prince of Ebenabo married her. People called it a miracle. Others called it destiny. But no matter what they called it, everyone agreed that Olama's life had changed forever. Back in the Ebenabo palace, Olama settled into her new home. The palace was large, bright, and full of life. Everywhere she walked, people bowed gently and greeted her with respect. "Good morning, princess. May your day be blessed, princess. Welcome, princess." These were words she had never heard before. She had lived many years hearing insults, anger, and mockery. Now she heard only kindness, honor, and love. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she cried in disbelief. Sometimes she stood quietly, closing her eyes, letting the joy wash over her slowly. Queen Ifedi treated her like a true daughter, even though she was not her blood. She visited her every morning, asking, "How did you sleep, my dear? Is your room warm enough? Are the servants taking care of you well?" Olama always smiled. "Yes, my queen, I am comfortable." Queen Ifedi shook her head playfully. "When you are in this palace, call me mother. You are my daughter now." This made her cry softly the first time she heard it. She had waited her whole life to hear someone call her daughter with love. King Agumba also treated her with respect and honor. He invited her to palace meetings, introduced her to chiefs and advisors, and spoke of her with great pride. "This young woman," he said one day at a feast, "is strong, brave, and humble. She is fit to be a queen one day." Olama lowered her eyes shyly, but her heart warmed. As for Prince Ozona, her husband, he loved her deeply. He cared for her as if she were the most precious treasure he had ever found. He made sure she lacked nothing. He encouraged her dreams, supported her thoughts, and protected her heart. Every evening, they sat together in the royal garden, walking among flowers, feeding birds, or simply watching the sunset. "This peace," she said one evening, "I never knew it could exist." Ozana smiled and held her hand. "You deserve this and more." "And you?" she asked softly. "Do you feel happy?" He kissed her forehead gently. "Yes, you make my heart full." Their love grew stronger every day. But though Olama was happy, part of her heart still longed to visit Obodoma, to meet her real parents again, to learn their voices, their ways, and the home she had been born into. She wanted to walk the land where her blood came from. She wanted to breathe the air that carried her ancestors' stories. One morning, she spoke to Ozana. "My husband, I want to visit Obodoma. I want to know my mother and father more. I want to spend time with my twin brother." Ozana nodded warmly. "Of course, they are your family. You must bond with them. We will go." A few days later, the royal wagon was prepared. Royal guards stood ready. Servants gathered her belongings. Ozana sat beside her inside the decorated carriage as they traveled to Obodoma. When they arrived, the gates of the palace opened wide immediately. Trumpets sounded loudly. Drums echoed across the courtyard. Queen Neoma rushed out with arms wide open. "My daughter!" she cried joyfully. Olama stepped down from the carriage and ran into her mother's arms. They hugged tightly, laughing and crying at the same time. King Oberiagu walked towards them slowly, smiling proudly. "Welcome home, my child," he said with a voice full of love. Olama knelt respectfully, but the king quickly lifted her up. No, he said gently. "You kneel to no one here. You are our daughter." Prince Osinachi ran out next,
almost tripping in his excitement. "My sister!" he shouted. "My brother!" he shouted too. They hugged so tightly that people watching began to laugh softly. For the first time in years, the palace of Obodoma felt complete. Queen Neoma held Olama's face in her hands and said, "Let me look at you. Let me study every part of you. I missed 23 years of your life. I want to know you fully." Olama smiled through tears. "You will, I promise." Prince Osinachi took her on a tour of the palace, showing her the rooms, the halls, the gardens, and even the secret corners where he used to hide as a child. As they walked, Osinachi asked, "Do you know how many times I wished for a sister, someone to play with, laugh with, share things with?" Olama said softly, "I wished for love, and now I have all of it." Osinachi smiled at her. "We will never be apart again." The days she spent in Obodoma were filled with joy. She ate with her parents, she laughed with her brother, she learned the palace traditions, she listened to stories of her birth and early days. She sat with Queen Neoma under the big tree in the palace courtyard where the queen told her, "I prayed for you every day. Even when they told me you were gone, my heart refused to believe it." Olama replied softly, "Your prayers kept me alive." When it was time to return to Ebenabu, Queen Neoma held her daughter close. "Come back anytime. This is your home forever." "I will," she promised. Back in Ebenabu, her life continued beautifully. Months passed, seasons changed, peace surrounded her like a warm blanket. And soon, her life grew even more blessed. She became a mother. Her first child was a beautiful baby girl with gentle eyes like Ozona's. They named her Amara because her presence was peaceful. A year later, she had another child, another girl, lively and cheerful. They named her Obiageli, meaning joy that stays. A few years later, she gave birth to a son, a strong boy who looked just like his father. They named him Chizoba, meaning God protects. Olama loved her children with all her heart. She held them close, told them stories, taught them kindness, and raised them with love, the kind of love she never received in her early life.
Queen Ifedi adored the children. King Agumba carried them around proudly. The palace became even more joyful. Cheta also became part of this new chapter of happiness. Not long after Olama's first visit to Obodoma, Cheta traveled there with her. The moment the king and queen saw him, they welcomed him warmly, thanking him for protecting their daughter all those years. "You have a good heart," King Oberagu told him. "You stood by her when she had nothing. We will stand by you now." Queen Neoma added, "Stay with us, walk with us, be part of our home." Cheta bowed. "I will be honored." They offered him a respected position in the palace. He became a palace steward, working closely with elders, warriors, and royal advisors. He learned quickly, worked hard, and soon became one of the trusted young men of Obodoma. He often visited Olama in Ebenabo, and she visited him in Obodoma. They remained close, loving each other like true siblings. Everything seemed perfect. Everything except for the dark corner where regret lived, the corner that belonged to Ekema and Ujunwa. In their village, things changed drastically after Olama left. People who once laughed with Ujunwa now avoided her. Those who once feared Ekema now saw through her pride. The truth of how they treated a princess spread everywhere. Neighbors whispered behind their backs, "That is the woman who treated a princess like a slave. That is the girl who mocked a princess she called sister." Shameful, wicked hearts. Ekema's heart carried a weight heavier than stones. She could no longer walk through the village with her head high. Each time she stepped outside, she felt eyes burning into her. People no longer respected her. Some no longer greeted her. Some refused to sell to her in the market. Her pride slowly turned into bitterness, and bitterness slowly turned into loneliness. As for Ujunwa, she continued living recklessly.
She spent her days gossiping, walking from house to house, searching for attention. But attention had become scarce. Most people ignored her. Some laughed behind her back. One day, Ujua became pregnant by a palm wine tapper, a man who had no money, no respect in the village, and no plan for the future. When Ekema found out, she shouted so loudly that the whole neighborhood heard. "Useless girl, shame on you. After everything I taught you, this is what you bring to my house?" Ujunwa cried, "Mama, he loves me." "Loves you? A palm wine tapper? A drunkard? You are a disgrace." They argued all day. By evening, Ekema pushed her daughter out of the house with her belongings. "Go and meet him," she said coldly. "Live with him. Do not return here." Ujua left crying, carrying her load on her head, walking towards the small hut where the palm wine tapper lived. She had no choice. She had nowhere else to go. Ekema watched her leave, then sat on the ground, holding her head in her hands. "What have I done?" she whispered to the empty compound. How did everything go wrong? She remembered Olama, the gentle girl she mistreated. She remembered the beatings, the insults, the neglect. She remembered the moment she saw her dressed like a princess. She remembered the king and queen hugging her. She remembered the truth she had kept hidden. She wished she could undo everything. She wished she could turn time backward. She wished she had shown kindness, but it was too late. Regret became her only companion. It followed her everywhere, whispering in her ears, stealing her sleep, eating her heart slowly. Years passed. Ojua lived poorly with the palm wine tapper. They struggled daily. She regretted many things, but pride kept her from apologizing. She carried the consequences of her choices like a heavy load. Ekema grew older. She became weaker. She saw no joy. No one visited her. No one cared for her. She lived her life in regret as punishment for her cruelty. Meanwhile, Olama lived in peace. Her children grew healthy and happy. They laughed often. They ran through the palace halls. They played in the gardens. They sat on her lap while she told them stories. They hugged her at night. They called her Mama with love. Ozana remained by her side, faithful and loving. Queen Ifedi and King Agumba treated her like true royalty. They proudly called her our daughter. Queen Nyoma and King Oberogu visited often. Prince Osinachi never stopped teasing her, talking with her, and protecting her like a true twin. Cheta grew respected in Obodoma. People called him loyal, wise, and strong. Everywhere Olama went, she carried peace with her. Her pain had shaped her. Her suffering had purified her. Her kindness had raised her. And her heart, strong, gentle, and loving, had brought her to the life she always deserved. From the girl abandoned in the bush, to the girl treated as a servant, to the girl who saved a stranger, to the woman who found love, to the princess who found her family, to the mother who lived in joy, Olama's story became a story people told their children. Be kind, be humble, because you never know who you truly are. You never know what destiny has planned. And so her days continued in happiness. She was finally loved. She was finally respected. She was finally honored. She was finally home. The princess she truly was, and the queen she was becoming every day.
The story of Olama teaches that kindness, humility, and patience can lift a person higher than cruelty, pride, or selfishness ever could. Though she suffered years of neglect and abuse, she never allowed bitterness to harden her heart. She treated others with compassion, even strangers, and that simple goodness led her to her true destiny. Her life shows that no matter how people treat you or how low your situation seems, your value does not change. Your identity, worth, and future are not defined by the people who mistreat you, but by who you truly are inside. It also teaches that wickedness, jealousy, and pride always bring shame and regret in the end, as seen in Ekema and Ujunwa's downfall, while love, honesty, and goodness bring honor, peace, and restoration. In the end, the story reminds us that destiny may be delayed but never denied. What is meant for you will always find you, no matter how long it takes. Thank you so much for watching. Your love and support mean everything to me. If this story inspired you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones to spread the inspiration. I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting African stories. See you in the next video. Bye!